it's a quite a big gamble. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the mix, right? And we've had some much bigger style songs playing, big room percussive drop. We've had a lot of tension building drop, and then we sort of decided to cut all that out and go into something very minimalistic. Not much going on here. This is a moment where things can really fall apart very quickly if you're not careful. It's almost like when you play a very popular pop banger and the whole crowd's going and it's crazy, and then that everyone's really enjoying that pop hit, and you play it through, but then you don't give support for that, because you played this enormous hit, whatever. It's really challenging then for the next song to live up to that, the glorification of that one you just played, particularly if it's like a hit that's currently big. Going into another song, right, that's going to be able to give support for that is tricky. I'm bringing up my cue points, okay? And I'm saying, all right, am I switching now or not? Okay, because I know that what I want to get to. And I decide, because of that split second difference I made with that slight error, I think it's better if I give it a little more time now. If I do a quick switch again, my brain is saying it might be too much. It's slightly different than what you originally intended to do. So we're allowing the song to play through now, just so we can go back to some sort of normality. There isn't like a super big change. And this is something I mentioned, you always have to be careful not to switch over too much. It can create a bit of distance. It can create a bit of a disconnection with the audience. If you're switching 1, 2, 3, 4, if you're switching too much, you don't let the song have time to breathe. And for me now, I'm getting bored. Okay, because there isn't much happening. It's sort of the same thing. Nothing really new's coming in. It's the same style of progression and percussive elements, bar after bar. Now, you're doing that live edit musically. So 1, 2, 3, and now. Okay, you're not doing what Whenever you're wanting to do something like this, think about, in this example, going with that group. It doesn't mean you have to do every single time. You can always cut it, like you mentioned several times now. In this example, we're going with that group. We're wanting to maintain that progression. Okay. Even this example, I'm giving a little bit of a change. We're not 100% on that groove. So we are going slightly off, and we're really accentuating that bass kick, and then we're moving on. This is like I mentioned, you have to be fluid with this. Even though I might think, okay, I want to maintain the groove in this moment, I just proved myself wrong. And okay, I know I didn't keep on the groove. There was a slight pause, accentuating that bass kick, and we're moving forward. Okay? The mix is fragile sometimes, and we've talked about always being careful not to lose your mix. I think it's been difficult to really give you a practical example of that. And here I think we've found one of those moments where it's really a clear example of when you can almost lose it if you're not careful. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so first and foremost, when I was originally listening to it, I heard that click, right? The click. And I felt that it could work well with what was happening. I thought it could tonally blend well together, right? And I've talked about this before when I like to give that additional sort of support for the low end. I like to blend those sort of kicks together. And we've done this in a different example. In this example, it doesn't work, right? So when we hear it coming in, there, you hear it? So I pressed the cue point, so I press play, and we're playing it, okay? And it's not 100% on the green, we're moving it in, right? But I'm not really happy with how it's blending. It's too noticeable, it's distracting. And you see how the kick is similar, right? But it's not as tonal as this one. The one that I have coming in is a little more rounded, it's more sculpted, it's more developed. This one is a little less, it's a bit thinner, okay? It's more treble than a rounded low and high and middle. It's sculpted to be more high end rather than low to mid. My little earbuds like, you're losing volume, using battery life. But you notice how now it's slightly different, right? Because we're slowly bringing it in and we're creating that blend, right? This is a situation where you think something's gonna work, but when you bring it in straight away, it doesn't really work. I was too confident making sure it bang on the grid, and it wasn't. It was slightly off, and we're bringing it in and still sort of not working. There's other material going on, and we quickly cut it out, and now we're slowly bringing it in. But you notice as we're slowly bringing it in, you can't notice it. And that was my original intention. We wanted to sculpt it around so we give more support, that low-end content that I felt was missing, and we blend it in like we want now. This one's a little tuned differently, it's almost piercing. It almost feels like a very deliberate sort of pitch in a certain frequency. Okay, now I'm listening to the low end. Let's pay very close attention to that low end. So I hope you can notice that you can tell when the two are playing, but it's not as noticeable. It's creating a bit of an unusual texture. And for me, I like that. I like that unusual sort of texture because it gives something different to that low end kick that we don't usually hear. Okay, let's watch it one more time. Okay, so we're going from this uplifting thing, right? We'll bring in this next song. It's not working, so we're cutting out, bring it much slower now. Gradually bring it in. It's quite a big gamble. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the mix, right? And we've had some much bigger style songs playing, big room percussive drop. We've had a lot of tension building drop, and then we sort of decided to cut all that out and go into something very minimalistic. Not much going on here. This is a moment where things can really fall apart very quickly if you're not careful. It's almost like when you play a very popular pop banger and the whole crowd's going and it's crazy, and then everyone's really enjoying that pop hit, and you play it through, but then you don't give support for that because you played this enormous hit, whatever. It's really challenging then for the next song to live up to that, the glorification of that one you just played, particularly if it's like a hit that's currently big, going into another song, right? that's going to be able to give support for that is tricky. What can happen is that usually after that super high, you can lose the energy very, very quickly, particularly if you're slowly blending something in. I think, in those situations, your approach would be fast mixing one song straight into the next one, into a big chorus or glorious breakdown, something like that. If you're doing it like from the get-go and you're waiting for things to build in, particularly if you switch genres, which I see a lot of people do. You go from a super popular sort of hit song, and then gonna completely do it in another opposite because it's like it's reached that high, and then now it's a great time to change and move into something else. No, it's not. Okay, no, it's not. It's the worst possible time to now you decide to switch genres, right? So you finally got that peak of that energy. You want to maintain it a little bit longer. I wouldn't even say even if it's your crescendo, don't do that. You don't want to do something like that. I don't think it's a cool idea. You lose all that energy, and it's not like cool now to switch over to different genres. It's a bit generic. Switching genres musically is different when you're blending and you're not noticing everything. If you want to play a big sort of pop hit, then you got to play another one. And you gotta play another one, and you gotta play another one. At least like 3 in a row, right? To really get it, right? You're pumping. And then switch over. You can't just play one. You really gotta get the crowd sweating. You really gotta, let's do this. And then switch over. Okay? At least from my perspective. It's almost like playing an hour show, and it's like your show. It's a big event and everything. If people spending 150, $200 and plus, they come and see your show, you better be playing at least 2 hours. And for me, it's like minimum 2 hours. I would be expecting a 3-hour show for something like that.